As the sun dipped below the horizon, I decided to leave the highway and drive down a narrow country road. The surroundings were shrouded in darkness, and the winding road ahead made me a bit uneasy. My gas tank was nearing empty, so I needed to find a gas station soon. Finally, I stumbled upon a remote gas station. It stood in isolation, illuminated only by a feeble streetlight. I parked my car and stepped out, feeling an eerie sense of solitude. The gas station's architecture appeared quite ancient, with peeling paint and a roof in disrepair. Dim light spilled from the windows of the small shop, casting an unsettling, yellowish glow. I entered the shop, and the doorbell chimed crisply. An employee in an odd uniform emerged. He had pallid skin and deep, enigmatic eyes, which made me feel somewhat uncomfortable. Attempting to break the awkward silence, I greeted him, but he merely took my gas card in silence and began filling my car's tank. His silence hung heavily in the air, so I tried to strike up a conversation with him about the desolate location and inquired about the gas station. However, the employee's response sent shivers down my spine. He revealed that this gas station had once been an ancient graveyard, a resting place for souls from many years past. His voice was low and eerie, leaving me with an unsettling feeling of unease. In this remote place, hearing such a story only intensified my sense of isolation. With my gas tank replenished, I decided it was time to leave the eerie gas station behind. However, as I turned to head back to my car, I couldn't help but notice the attendant's strange behavior. He stood there, still as a statue, his eyes locked on something in the distance. It was as if he was lost in a world of his own. An unsettling feeling crept over me as I made my way back to the car. The attendant's strange demeanor left me with an unshakable sense of unease. I quickly climbed into my vehicle, eager to put some distance between myself and this peculiar place. As I pulled out of the gas station, I couldn't help but glance in the rearview mirror. The attendant was still standing there, his gaze fixed on the same spot in the distance. It sent a chill down my spine, and I accelerated away from the gas station, leaving it far behind. The winding country road seemed endless, and the darkness of the night pressed in on all sides. I couldn't shake the strange encounter with the gas station attendant from my mind. It was a relief when I finally rejoined the highway, leaving that desolate place behind me. Yet, a lingering sense of disquiet remained, and I couldn't help but wonder about the mysteries hidden within that remote gas station. I continued my journey along the highway, the unsettling encounter at the remote gas station still fresh in my mind. The winding road seemed endless, and the darkness of the night surrounded me like a shroud. I couldn't help but replay the events of that strange encounter over and over in my head. Hours passed, and I found myself in a state of deep contemplation. Suddenly, a jarring sensation snapped me out of my thoughts. A sharp scream pierced the night air, sending shivers down my spine. I slammed on the brakes and looked around in a panic, trying to locate the source of the sound. Out of the dense forest that bordered the road, a blurry figure darted out and disappeared into the darkness. My heart raced as fear washed over me. It was no ordinary sound, and it certainly wasn't a wolf as the attendant had claimed. It sounded human, tortured, and desperate. I turned back to the gas station attendant's strange words about this place being an ancient graveyard. The pieces of this puzzle were slowly coming together in my mind, but I couldn't yet grasp the full picture. As I resumed my journey, the encounter at the gas station continued to haunt me. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was deeply wrong about that place, and I had a growing sense that I was being drawn into a mystery that I didn't fully understand. The road ahead was long and full of uncertainty, and I couldn't help but wonder what other secrets the night held in store for me. The encounter at the gas station had left me on edge, but I couldn't have anticipated what was about to happen next. I continued driving down the dark, winding road, trying to shake off the unsettling feeling that had settled over me. It was then that I noticed something strange in my rearview mirror. The gas station, which should have been receding into the distance, was still visible, its dim lights flickering through the trees. Confusion and dread gripped me as I realized I should have left that place far behind. I pulled over, trying to make sense of the inexplicable situation. As I stepped out of the car, a chilling wind blew through the trees, carrying with it an eerie whisper. The sensation of being watched intensified, and I turned to face the gas station. To my astonishment, it was as if the road itself had twisted and contorted, leading me back to the very place I had just left. Panic set in as I realized I was trapped, caught in some inexplicable loop. My heart pounded, and I knew I had to escape this nightmarish situation. I rushed back to the gas station, hoping to find answers from the enigmatic attendant. But when I entered the shop, he was nowhere to be seen. The lights flickered ominously, casting eerie shadows on the walls. I felt as though I had stepped into a nightmare. The bizarre turn of events left me disoriented and terrified. I had no choice but to find a way out of this nightmarish loop and unravel the mysteries of this forsaken gas station. The night was far from over, and I had no idea what other horrors it held in store for me. The gas station's surreal transformation had left me in a state of shock and disorientation. The twisted road had brought me back to the very place I had tried to escape, and I couldn't fathom how this was possible. Panic gnawed at my sanity as I searched for answers. With trembling hands, I ventured outside again, hoping to break free from this nightmarish loop. The wind had grown colder, and the trees whispered secrets that sent chills down my spine. I turned back to the gas station, my heart pounding in my chest. What I saw next froze me in my tracks. The gas station had shifted and changed, its layout now unrecognizable. The pumps and the small shop seemed to stretch endlessly in all directions, like a labyrinth of shadows. I had no choice but to navigate this eerie maze, searching for an exit. As I ventured deeper into the gas station's surreal interior, my sense of direction became hopelessly skewed. The dim lights above flickered intermittently, casting long, disorienting shadows that danced across the walls. Every corner I turned seemed to lead me further into the abyss. Time lost its meaning as I wandered through the labyrinthine nightmare. I called out, but my voice echoed eerily, as if mocking my desperation. The gas station had become a distorted reality, a place where the laws of nature no longer applied. Hours, or perhaps even days, passed in this surreal limbo. Exhaustion and fear gripped me, and I began to lose hope of ever escaping. The gas station had become my own personal hell, and I couldn't fathom how or why I had become trapped in this twisted nightmare. With each passing moment, the boundaries of reality blurred further, and I was left to wonder if I would ever find my way out or if I would be condemned to wander this nightmarish labyrinth forever. The night held me in its suffocating grip, and I had no choice but to continue my search for answers and an elusive exit. In the heart of the gas station's surreal maze, despair and confusion had become my constant companions. The flickering lights, the echoing shadows, and the disorienting layout played tricks on my senses, making each moment feel like an eternity. As I continued my futile search for an exit, a strange and chilling sensation washed over me. A presence, cold and eerie, seemed to materialize out of thin air. I turned slowly, my heart pounding, and there before me stood a figure, a woman, her form translucent like a ghost. Her eyes, filled with sorrow and longing, met mine. She pointed a trembling finger towards a distant corner of the gas station, her lips parting as if to speak, but no words emerged. The apparition's presence sent a shiver down my spine, and I couldn't tear my gaze away from her haunting visage. In the deafening silence, I could hear nothing but the pounding of my own heart. The apparition continued to point, her expression filled with an unspeakable sadness. My instincts told me to follow her guidance, as if she held the key to escaping this nightmarish labyrinth. With hesitant steps, I ventured toward the direction she indicated. The gas station's shadows seemed to part, as if clearing a path for me. Every step felt like a journey into the unknown, and I couldn't help but wonder if the apparition was a friend or a foe. As I reached the corner, I turned back to look at the apparition, but she had vanished, leaving only the echoes of her silent plea. I was alone once more, surrounded by the eerie stillness of the gas station. But something had changed. I felt a glimmer of hope that I might be closer to unraveling the mysteries of this place. With renewed determination, I pressed on, following the path the apparition had indicated. The night was far from over, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was drawing closer to the heart of the gas station's enigma, where answers, or perhaps more chilling questions, awaited. Following the apparition's spectral guidance, I navigated the labyrinthine gas station with a mixture of trepidation and hope. The path she had indicated led me through dimly lit corridors and eerie chambers, each more disorienting than the last. The air grew colder, and a sense of foreboding gripped me. With each step, the gas station seemed to morph and shift, as if it were a living, malevolent entity. The echoes of my own footsteps were my only company, a haunting reminder of my isolation. As I ventured deeper into the gas station's heart, I could feel an increasing sense of malevolence in the air. The shadows danced menacingly, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched by unseen eyes. Suddenly, the apparition reappeared before me, her ethereal form even more haunting in the oppressive darkness. She pointed urgently to a door at the end of a long, shadowy corridor. It was my only chance, and I knew I had to take it. I sprinted towards the door, my heart pounding in my chest. With trembling hands, I pushed it open, and a blinding light flooded my vision. I stumbled through, leaving the gas station's nightmarish maze behind. As the door slammed shut behind me, I found myself in the cool, open air of a moonlit night. The gas station had vanished, leaving no trace of its malevolence. I was free, and the weight of the night's horrors began to lift. My breaths came in ragged gasps as I looked around, trying to make sense of my surroundings. I was in a clearing surrounded by trees, and a sense of relief washed over me. It was a stark contrast to the nightmarish gas station, and I knew I had escaped its clutches. The apparition, her haunting presence still etched in my memory, was nowhere to be seen. I was left with an overwhelming sense of gratitude that I had made it out of that nightmarish place. As I stood there, the chilling events of that night played over in my mind. The gas station's mysteries remained unsolved, but I had survived the ordeal. The night had tested my courage and resolve in ways I could never have imagined, and I knew that I would carry the memories of that harrowing experience with me forever. After escaping the nightmarish gas station, I found myself in a moonlit clearing surrounded by trees. The feeling of freedom and relief was palpable, like a soothing balm on my frayed nerves. I stood there, trying to catch my breath and make sense of the harrowing events I had endured. The apparition, the enigmatic guide who had led me out of the gas station's labyrinth, had vanished without a trace. Her spectral presence and haunting plea remained etched in my memory, and I couldn't help but wonder about her and the dark secrets of the forsaken gas station. With trembling hands, I reached for my phone to call for help, but to my horror, there was no signal. It was as if the gas station's malevolence still had a hold on me, even in this newfound freedom. Panic began to well up inside me again, and I realized I was still far from safety. Determined to put as much distance between myself and that cursed place as possible, I started to walk through the woods. The moon cast an eerie glow on the path ahead, and every rustle of leaves and snap of twigs sent shivers down my spine. Hours passed, and exhaustion set in. The events of the night had taken their toll, both mentally and physically. I had escaped the gas station's clutches, but I couldn't escape the lingering feeling that it was not the end of the nightmare. As dawn broke, I stumbled upon a nearby road and was fortunate enough to flag down a passing car. The driver, a kind and understanding stranger, offered me a ride to the nearest town. I climbed into the car, my body and mind weighed down by the horrors I had witnessed. The town was a haven of normalcy, a stark contrast to the gas station's malevolent realm. I reported my strange encounter to the local authorities, but they seemed skeptical and dismissed it as a bizarre tale spun by a weary traveler. Days turned into weeks, and the memory of the gas station's horrors haunted my dreams. I couldn't shake the feeling that the apparition and the mysteries of that forsaken place were far from resolved. In the end, I left that town behind, but the gas station's enigma continued to linger in my thoughts. I had escaped its clutches, but the haunting memories of that night would remain with me, a reminder of the malevolent forces that can lurk in the most unsuspecting of places. The gas station had taken me to the brink of despair, but I had emerged from its darkness with a newfound appreciation for the fragility of reality and the enduring power of the unknown. It was a night I would never forget, a haunting journey into the depths of fear and the mysteries of the human psyche.